Hey everybody, welcome back to X's for Show, your premier media response show, now currently also starring photos of my dog, right? Super exciting. But as always, I'm Nico Action, NICO.
Hi people, I'm Jonah. Follow me please at Pete Jonah.
I'm TK. You can find me at TK Elemental.
That makes me Tori. Tori, you can find me at SM Tori. That's Tori with an I.
And that makes me your producer, KEVO. You can find me at KEVO Really. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so that we know what you want us to cover in the future. Hi there to Hyper Guy TV over on Instagram. Anyone who's watching us over on that feed, if you want to join us on YouTube or on Twitch or any of the other feeds, we can flash your comments. Unfortunately, we can't do that with Insta. But still, hello, and thank you for joining us. And thank you all for joining us.
So, okay, we're here to talk about a very important episode of Canada's Drag Race. The episode where I am left asking myself, is Snatch Game all right? Now, we've
been asking that for a while.
This is not the girls did a bad job. This is not any girl should be punished. This is the machine that is Snatch Game is broken. So, like, you can be but like, you know, just to use like a funny reference, but you could put like Meryl Streep in a movie about how perfect John Bailey's ass is, and if it was written by Michael Bay, it's still going to be rough. And so I feel like we are at the point where the mechanics of Snatch Game are broken.
I agree with that. I do think
yeah.
You don't get to this many bad ones and not say, is it us? At the same time, and this is one of those things where they absolutely could have cut people saying this, but no girl has ever said, I knew this challenge was coming. I tried really hard. I like sat there. I came up with the jokes. I worked on my impression. I workshopped this at my local show. You hear a lot of like, I thought it was funny. Like, I thought I had good jokes. Like, I thought I would be okay. I'm really funny at my show. And I believe that there are people that might do that. I believe, you know, they might say that and it gets cut, or they don't say that because they don't want to fight with the judges. But, because we know that people will also be like, yeah, I 100% applied to the show, knew there would be sewing challenges, didn't learn how to sew, never took a lesson, just figured I'd wing it. I do think that happens with Snatch Game too. And I just think that it is I want to say it's like a cultural thing where people just are not kind of doing the homework of doing impressions the way that they used to. But then I'm also looking at, Minnie is my age. Minnie's 39. Minnie got an old person zinger. And so she should be of an old enough crew that I would expect that she would have some impressions under her belt. I really would like to know if Jaylene would have done well.
I agree. And I appreciate something you said right away, though, being it could have been cut. Yeah. Because it really points to how top to bottom everything about this episode is bizarre, because we don't know how much they might have had to say about the characters they were going to do. Because that was like 2 seconds long.
And I
was so weird.
I went and rewatched season 14 Snatch Game, which is another historically horrible one. And I also just think Michelle Visage's investigation as the judges' critiques is one of the funniest things in the world. It's the bit that just keeps on giving throughout the whole episode. But I went back to that too because, like, you know, Willow doesn't say anything. And again, like, you don't get that much time.
On my home.
You don't get that much time with Willow in like confessionals or anything. So I don't know if maybe she like did practice because Willow is so funny and so talented and so smart. But you definitely get the impression that Georges didn't at all. Daya did not at all. And I do think Snatch Game is broken. I do think they should redo it, but I also wonder if redoing it or rethinking it or doing it another way is literally like, you have to send us a tape of who you're going to do. And
But
if you don't
options, maybe
part of the audition process is them doing mock Snatch Games. We've seen it.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily with the character they're going to do.
Most of the times it is. Sometimes it's not. I do want to concede to that. Sometimes it's not, but most of the times it is. Though the very few times that it's not been, it's when they've told them you cannot do this person.
Character, yeah.
A la Bianca Del Rio auditioning with Dora the Explorer, and then being, this is hysterical, don't you ever bring this to the studio, you can't do this.
Tori, where are you coming from on this Snatch Game? Because I haven't gotten your vibe yet, and I would love to know, is it a vibe or is it a Mandy Moobs?
I don't think this was any worse than any other Snatch Game we've been given. I think there were no outstanding people doing extremely well. I don't think everybody bombed in the way that season 14 went. But I think not having a walkthrough with Brooke to help,
Bizarre.
but also how much is Brooke based to help based on how her Snatch Game went. So like that's the thing, is that like
Well, then someone should. You don't remove the element. Yeah.
Sure.
I would read a lot of food reviews by people I would not eat the food of.
Right. And
I'd watch Tracy do it.
Yeah. And
I mean, Steph to left could have done it.
Yeah. And I just think that
Yeah.
for me, I think Snatch Game has been pretty much poisoned once RuPaul got in there and was like, what if you were Gordon Ramsay's sister, though? Like that kind of stuff, where she's like, let's go left. And I was, a little high in the shower the other night, and I was like, if I got bored and decided to be a drag queen and go on Snatch Game, what would I do? And I sort of landed on Harry Potter's cousin Tony Potter from New Jersey.
Okay.
And I was like,
hate that. I love that.
Right? But I was like, but the thing is that that's a great idea. You can be like, hey, yo, when my cousin Harry needs somebody to disappear Voldemort, he knew what to call, like that kind of stuff. Bada bing, bada boomicus. But here's the thing: if you're in the moment and you're not feeling it and you're not getting the questions you thought you would or whatever, it can all go up in smoke.
Well, you got.
Well, it's every time we review a new Snatch Game, every time I always want to bring up the point, Snatch Game is one of the hardest challenges to do. You are sitting in a cold room for at least an hour or two, and you are making jokes, and your only gauge to the reaction is the host and or the contestants that are the people that are trying to match. They're trying to match.
Yeah.
Sounds like my college boyfriend. Bum.
Right.
Bum.
But also at the same time, you cannot rely upon your co-contestants to carry you, as we saw with, what was it? Asia and the Vixen? Was that the Beyonce and Blue Ivy? Yeah.
Yes.
So
bad. Snatch Game boils down to: did you have a good Snatch Game choice? Meaning, is there a height enough things that we know about this person that you can poke fun at, and we can all laugh at? Hey, wouldn't this be funny if this was the exaggerated personality, comparative to I really revere this person and I'm going to do them, or they have people also need to stop doing meme moments.
That's even where I'm kind of like having a moment in I love what you're saying, Jonah, because I really want your reaction and opinion. There is a character that KEVO and I have been obsessed with for literally at this point 15 years. Elaine Carroll's performance of Very Mary Kate is very specifically this. And like the problem was, not only was there a visual reference, but Perla literally used exact jokes from an existing 10 million hit YouTube video where the character has 600 million hits and has auditioned for SNL with this character. And the jokes were literally taken verbatim like it was an Amy Schumer set.
It's the fact that this is a specific caricature of a person at a specific time in their life that was 15 years ago. It's not that the Olsen twins aren't still Snatch Gameable today, but this is not the same person that Mary-Kate Olsen is today. And I even triple checked. The only connection Mary-Kate Olsen has to Philip Hoffman is that she happened to be at his funeral because her older daddy boyfriend had worked with him previously.
Yep.
So, like, bringing up Phil Hoffman was literally referencing a recurring character on Very Mary Kate, who was a caricature of Phil Hoffman who was horny for Mary Kate. Like, it was really upsetting for me as someone who was a huge fan of this not as well acclaimed as she should be comedian. And, like, it was down to talking about holding her hands like this and doing the face. That's literally Elaine Carroll's character. It's not like a wide embraced caricature of this person.
And that's where my frustration was, because honest to goodness, that we know as a fact, if somebody's heard that joke before, they're going to say, I've heard it. In fact, I know who you stole it from, and not cool. Perla got lucky that nobody recognized Very Mary Kate.
Or called it out.
Or they didn't air that it was called out. Because what's tough for me is I don't know how, as a writer and a creator, I love Perla. And if Perla had said, I'm doing a take on Elaine Carroll's Very Mary Kate, and maybe she did, and maybe it didn't make it to air.
It's the best defense, yeah.
The concern here is this is outright rewarding plagiarism. And it does actually require us talking a little bit about it. I mean, because the bigger problem is I still would have given it to her over Xana. And I can't think of, I mean, and this is what's tough. I thought Xana's impression of Betty Page was actually a little bit closer to, why can I not think of her name, that we just watched on Dragula? Bitter Betty. I thought that Xana's impression of Betty Page read closer to Bitter Betty than Betty Page. And I'm not like some Betty Page expert. I'm not claiming to be like the world's greatest, but this felt like a safe performance. Certainly not a bottom. She did a bad job, but this felt to me like something that, without any disrespect, this felt like something a 15-year-old would bring to her audition.
Right. Like, to me, this Betty Page would definitely not have survived RuPaul.
No.
No.
I think this Betty Page, the look is right, and I think if you wanted to elevate it, you become like a chain smoking horrible grandmother kind of voice into it, like that's so coarse, so different from this idealized like fetishism, that's where the joke lies. But I think even though she was doing a funny voice, I don't think it went far enough. I think that's where we're falling with these Snatch Games. Like, is Brooke and Canada pushing these people to be their most ridiculous? And if not, why are they still basing their ideas of what they're going to do Snatch Game based on how the Americans do it? Because if we're going to move Canada into a world where it's more about like a stricter straight impression and just try to be funny,
well, I mean,
it's a whole other thing.
There are are Canadians. How many of those characters are people who are Canadian icons? I don't think anybody there is a Canadian icon.
I don't think my friend Oprah Winfrey is actually a Canadian. Which, by the way, can anybody, TK, maybe there's something I don't know. Maybe I'm, as you know, I'm a bit younger than you. I'm not your and Minnie's age.
Wow.
So, it's nearly a whole calendar year younger. So, what the fuck did I miss that everybody was like, I can't believe you would do Oprah? Like,
when did Oprah become this serious person that you can't make comedy about when Oprah herself is hysterical unintentionally?
And Oprah, like, actually evidently loves Oprah gifts.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if they were cutting around being like, I can't believe you would do Oprah. You're terrible at it. Like, you've been doing
exactly.
You've been doing Oprah in the workroom.
Then she was
never funny. Yeah, then she was horrible.
She was mediocre.
Well, I think it's playing against type. I think they were like, Michaela is a young black girl. Like, which pop star? She would be like someone where you're like, yes, you can bring Beyonce. We understand why you would do it. It makes sense. Whereas Oprah, you got to dig deep for that. And I don't think they believed that she could. But there was a lot of delusion running around the workroom leading up to this.
There was a ton. I don't know. I feel like I had a weird one with this week. I feel a lot less forgiving than all of you. Like, and maybe, you know, for Xana in particular, it was also because I finally got on the NICO haterade train for Xana this week. She was horrible. She was just unnecessarily terrible.
Especially after now Jaylene is gone. That was your shield.
Yeah.
Oh, which also, speaking of Jaylene, she did make a post on Instagram about various characters she would have done.
Yeah.
And there's some decent ones. There's a Dolly Parton in there. There's a Mae West in there. There's an indigenous music singer. And I forget what the first one was, but it seems like Cher. She started off doing Cher. So
Cher would have been funny.
An indigenous music singer.
I'm sorry. I'm not good at music. What do you want from me?
The one thing I want to give Xana is that when bizarrely that she was announced winner mid Snatch Game, which everybody thought was a joke.
Yes.
She just kept using the voice, which I will say that commitment,
good for her,
to a degree, is funny.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff I do like about Xana, but she was horrible this week. And picking fights with Uma for no reason and just really digging in, even when Uma was like, we don't have to fight.
She was picking fights with everybody.
But also Uma trying to do a Melinda Verga and instead just coming off like somebody who can't stop talking. I was gonna say, I want to extrapolate a little bit more about Uma. Yeah. In a live viewing party, Uma talked about where a little bit more of the fire came from was mostly from the judges' critiques, which I will say Brad gave the weirdest, most vague things. Just make sure your looks are a little more cohesive. If you don't like the look, you don't have to like the look, but this is absolutely a valid attempt and interpretation of Alien. Yeah,
you don't have to.
And it's totally cohesive.
But when he said that was a weird comment that I think made her feel a different way, as well as he made a comment, or someone made a comment, might not specifically be him, that she didn't interact with the girls enough, but she felt like she did with her props. And that one might be a little bit more subjective. We specifically didn't see it. I'm not denying it didn't happen. You can see there's one actual frame where Michaela's cheek is like rainbow. I think the performance was still bad.
Yeah.
But I understand more where she was coming from. And that was also the nice edit, because she said that she said a lot more crazy things and they could have made her look more crazy, and they chose to not do that to her, which I will at least, the bar's in the ground, but applaud them that they didn't sacrifice someone like that.
I mean, that's great. I feel like sometimes there's a way in which you do that stuff, and it just, like the Melinda stuff, somebody was very smart to let all that go, because it really did go fully around into falling in love with her in the middle of what was a very ugly, unpleasant rant, but yet somehow, and it just, like, I could see it not happening with Uma. Like the crazy was just not ratcheted up to the point where I would be like, oh, this is an insane person. It was more like what happened with Alaska, where you're like, no, this is actually a mature adult that's just kind of being bratty and obnoxious, but whatever. What?
Oh, wow. No, I read the Alaska moment as the height of gross entitlement.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I read it like literally like a giant baby going, mommy give baby now. And like, I don't read it as an adult at all. I actually think I think that moment for Alaska enabled so much bad behavior because it's funny. I think that is the height of I'm a petulant child, and it is literally using the power of money as a weapon, and it is callous in the way that only an amoral person should be, in a way that makes me think it is childish.
Yeah, my point is that she's an adult behaving like a child. Like that.
I thought you were saying it was an adult behaving as an adult having a bad moment.
No,
and I'm saying it's an adult behaving like a child.
Yeah,
so,
and I'm saying I felt Uma's moment was similarly very like child. And again, like, you are an adult, clean up your act. That's so anyway, I didn't really like that moment, but I also really didn't like Xana's behavior. And Tori, I completely agree. Like, you just described a much better Betty Page idea. And I was kind of thinking like maybe do some Mae West, do a little bit of, not obviously not the accent of Sasha Velour's Marlene Dietrich, but like, I mean, one of just the most killer jokes is, and obviously I've been dead for quite some time, like Betty Page has that same thing where she's not a present celebrity. There's a lot that you can...
I would have loved if she was like, oh, I have the right to vote?
Yeah.
I wish she did Biff from Back to the Future.
So we've also talked about how we brought up the idea that these girls aren't doing impressions, and we brought up the idea that like the character locals, now that drag has gotten so big, are able to hold on to their spots in the lineup for longer, and they're the ones sitting on the character roles. They're the ones doing the shares, they're the ones doing the Madonnas and all of the things, and sometimes a kooky one comes through. Do we think that there's a certain amount of, why aren't we running like mini Snatch Games across the country on like Thursday nights kind of thing, like encouraging like, hey, let's get these girls out here, show us what you got, turn this into part of an act that you can refine and make it happen.
And then I also have thoughts, and I would love to get everybody's thoughts because my thoughts are a question. Hit me.
We talked about this a little bit, maybe last time or maybe two Snatch Games ago. I don't remember, but it's I posited something that Dawn said, that character impersonation isn't really part of a lot of young drag because it doesn't need to be part of older drag. And I remember I went to a show, legendary famous drag show bar at Lips a while ago, and it was a theme night, and everybody did a number as a celebrity, and that's what the night was. That's not a thing you have to do to even get started in drag. You could, if you just want to do drag, you don't need to do any show. You can just start doing drag, start posting it online, start doing whatever you want.
Start showing up on a podcast.
Yes. Drag is accessible in that front, that anybody could start it, anybody could do it. And if you are able to start doing, you want to start doing bookings, you don't need to do a character, because I don't think that's what people are looking for right now. I think it's a little bit more of an older talent that is being lost to a new generation as we usher in new and talented drag queens. We're not asking them to do it, so they don't need to develop that skill, because that's not what they're doing on their nights.
I only disagree in that I think, and please, it was Dawn who said it. I believe Dawn knows better than I do, and so I'm not positing that Dawn is wrong. I am only looking to seek to explain maybe something that comes a little bit better age and understanding. When you do a 30-second impersonation of a girl, and you do that meme clip, when you do the 30-second TikTok and the reel of it, you're still doing a celebrity impersonation. The problem is we've lost the ability to create the 5-minute celebrity impersonation. We've lost the ability to continue the bit. We are only good at the 30-second bit. These girls are very good at the 30-second bit. Every single one of these girls knocks out 3 of the 30-second bit for each one of these characters. But they have to do it for an hour. Like, it is, I'm trying to think of a non-silly, dirty NICO version of this. When I was a freshman in high school, I had a friend who was like, by the way, I know you love Desiree. Do you want me to teach you Kissing You on the piano? And so I, to this day, do the D to E walk down to the D, F for the D minor. It's in my brain for the rest of my life. And anyone can learn something. But like, the idea that the internet made it so easy to learn things. I mean that as somebody who earlier today was frustrated that I didn't know the solo from, it was last night at like midnight, because I was playing guitar at like midnight. Sorry about it, family. But I was playing Foo Fighters' Greatest Hits at like midnight on guitar, and I realized I didn't know the solo to Best of You, so I learned it. And I learned it because I put on a video that had the notes laid out, and then I put on a video of the chord chart, and I sat here with 2 different guitars till I found the one that sounded right.
Yeah.
And the fact that availability of knowledge has so advanced, and exponentially so, it's not that girls can't learn the 5-minute version or the 10-minute version of the character. It's there's so many opportunities to learn so much. Why would you learn one thing for an hour when you can learn 30 things for 2 minutes?
I also think that maybe that is part of the problem, is that they're prepping 3 characters and they decide that they can
Great
only spend
addition.
20 minutes on each. I think also I think we're running into the problem of, if we do compare this to the idea of you need a character, you need to be able to sew. The thing is that sewing at home is very similar to sewing at Drag Race, unless the materials are weird, quote unquote. But Snatch Game at home is very different from Snatch Game at the RuPaul's.
Tori will
RuPaul's
tell you
house.
I am much funnier on Discord than I am in person. Tori will tell you, she will tell you, you guys, the jokes are great on Discord.
I'm listen, I flirt better via text than in person.
Oh.
Like we all do things that we're not good at in public.
If I could just communicate all affection through dick pics, I feel like I would be doing fine.
But to that end, TK posited, they're not doing the 5-minute impression at their show. They're not doing a
Mhm.
Chapel Roan number to then go into a Chapel Roan impression to practice their Snatch Game. I hear what you're saying, especially because comedy is subjective. There's also to say, I want to give credit to Brooke this week because she tried really hard to volley with people. She was giving so many layups, and so many people were like, "No, I don't want that. No, excuse me. No, thank you."
The only thing that worked harder than Brooke this week was her perm.
Truly. And
Also, keep going.
it's just, I feel like I say this every time we're doing Snatch Game, but hearing Denali talk about practicing doing Snatch Game, practicing improv, practicing her character of Jonathan Van Ness, made me realize oh, you can, and I say this, you can practice improv. You can, even if you don't want to take a class, even if you feel like you might not get it, doesn't have to be specific at the top of your head. You can pre-write everything and just say it, and it comes off, and you just have to know how to say things. We're also got really weird choices, and I feel like people aren't thinking about the hyper exaggeration. I think a good Snatch Game character is giving a hyper exaggeration version of somebody. Obviously, comparing it to the best of the best, Judy Garland as a surreal breaking the fourth wall, "No, I'm dead, everything is a set," is hysterical. And
Tell him it's not his fault that I died.
Is that my camera? Knowing that, I think is a little bit of a harder sell, and that's that's varsity. But junior level of, okay, I'm trying to think of somebody who did a good Snatch Game where it's just a hyper exaggerated version of, okay,
Chad Michaels.
Chad Michaels doing Cher. It is just doing a hyper exaggeration of what we think Cher is like.
I mean, Kennedy Davenport doing Lil Richard.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's
kinda-
yeah.
It's just a flamboyant, exaggerated version of
Yeah.
Richard. That's not how he fully is, but that's how we can imagine.
Shut up!
Shut up!
Yeah.
Elements,
Yeah.
So
We
love
saw
it.
2 different
True.
hyper versions of Liberace this past year. This
Yeah.
is the thing.
No, we saw one good version of Liberace, and we saw somebody else dress really impressively and do amazing Liberace makeup. Chanel.
But I think a couple
Wildly
people
different.
their problem started with their character choice. I knew who Uma was. I've seen the video. I know who this lady is. I don't think she makes a good Snatch Game character.
It was fine. I think something a lot of these girls do is add weird elements to their characters. I'm starting a makeup line, and then, oh no, I got my makeup sponges confused with my art sponges, and her energy was there, the story wasn't.
Never recreate your improv. It
Yeah.
was funny the one time.
Yeah.
Write a good joke. Recreate a good joke. But in the moment stuff, nothing's worse than when you retell a joke and everybody's like,
Point an example. I did a bit with my friend eons ago when he was a roommate.
oh my god, eons ago is my favorite of your friends.
I know. Yeah. Shout out to Eon. And sometimes we'll go over bits, because we think they're funny, but they're not funny to the entire room.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're funny with your friends, but you're not funny with other people.
Yeah. because they love you and they're like, I know where you're going and you're cute.
Yeah.
It's
Kevo
fun.
just laughed so hard at eons ago that it
No.
is literally what we're talking about right now.
I'm gonna write it down onto my list of generic drag names for future reference. Like all of those things.
ago.
Yeah.
Eon
I-
and Zago.
I also want to
Eons
give
ago.
big props to Mr. Kevo for putting together these graphics with the inset of who they each are, because to be honest, she's face blind and not wearing her glasses. So
No, I need them too. That's a huge
Um,
reason of why they happen. Yeah.
And somebody who I think had a good choice, but maybe just lacked the confidence to do it well, was Helena. Like, I think. Oh, who did you think I was going to say, TK? Because you got.
Virgo.
No.
Virgo had
Oh.
such a good choice, and she
Virgo had
was horrible.
Thank you for knowing who this person is.
I love Judge Lynn Toller.
I
mean,
love Judge Lynn
characters-
Toller. Watch her with Richard all the time.
But characters like this are tough. You really need to be a goddamn Bianca to pull
Well,
off.
the thing about this is she literally could have just stolen. Like, Judge Lynn Toller is essentially Black Judge Judy.
Yes,
and
I
it's-
literally said that.
Which is why Rich loves it. I mean, I 100%. I was surprised that you knew who she was, and then as soon as you said you watch it with Rich all the time, I was like, of course you do, because she's just Black Judge Judy. And the thing that Bianca got is how to. The word coming out of your mouth is no, because it has to be, because it's Judge Judy and she is constantly rejecting the premise of the people. But somehow it's a yes. Somehow for improv purposes, it's a yes. And then it's for.
but I'd like to try.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
And-
sorry.
and for Rue, it was never a no. Like, Rue was Bianca's co-judge and co-conspirator in doing that, and I could see that Virgo knew Judge Lynn Toller, and that Judge Lynn Toller is a no nonsense. Like, you constantly say no, but she didn't know how to actually be saying yes, and especially she didn't know that, like, that's for the girls, that's for the answer, that's for Brad and for Tracy, but Brooke is your conspirator, and Brooke you say yes to. You go, yeah, isn't that an idiot? Isn't that a hoe? She called Tracy a hoe.
She's on the
Um,
same side of the bench
hooker.
as you.
While we're
Yeah.
talking about it
Right.
real quick, if Tori were to top Bianca, I think she should change her drag name to Miss Peggy. Thank you.
Oh, you don't know that I got nicknamed Mistress Peg by several lighting designers after several tech conversations. So
Oh my
I would
God.
also just
Another
like to
big
say
part of my heart.
I loved Minnie Wong's Snatch Game.
Minnie.
Love
Okay, I
Minnie
want to say it's
Wang.
Minnie Wang because I'm convinced that she has the biggest wang after this insane Margaret Cho performance.
What a choice! And honestly, really pulled it off. And I think that if it
And I think
hadn't-
we're all gonna die.
Maybe.
they feel like I feel like people are a little harsh on Minnie. I think Minnie is, for all that she is an older queen, maybe doesn't have as much depth of experience as some of the other girls in the room. But I think this was a solid choice, and I honestly think that, like, if she'd been like 3 or 4 years further in her career, I think this would have been like a solid win.
TK,
I
I'm gonna
agree
set-
with you on that point.
Mhm.
TK, can I just set you up really quick? I want to set you up like I am Dulcia and you are a Power Ranger. I have
Just
some
don't make him a frog.
concerns that if Minnie wins, it is as inside a job as Ryan Reynolds using his Boost mobile powers to get Blake Lively the text messages from Justin Baldoni. So
Oh, you want to get this whole
You
channel
think
shut
Justin
down?
Baldoni
Okay.
uses a Mint mobile phone?
Yeah, that
No.
was kind of my reaction. Too,
I think
but
that
it
they
is
all know each
also-
other and it's a secret cell
Yeah.
phone club.
Okay.
That's what Chapel Rowan is going to update the lyrics to.
Okay.
That's
Secret
what this
cell
show
phone
is
club.
now.
You think Thomas Mobile? You think Thomas Mobile shares his tech access with Ryan Mint Murphy?
I
Or-
think well, no, I do
Ryan
think
Murphy.
Ryan Murphy and Ryan
Well,
Reynolds
wait.
are in one
same
weird
person.
sexual conversation
Yes.
at all times.
How is it an inside job?
Because he's a pit crew.
Yeah,
He's a big
he's
crew.
he's production
Well,
staff.
I mean, if you
I don't-
want it, like, but then you could say
Yeah.
the same for Michaela. So
Yeah, that-
Yeah,
that's
I
okay.
don't know that I buy that, but what I do think is
Okay.
that Minnie absolutely stumbled into this being funny. There was no intention for it to be funny. It was just unhinged and weird. And she just stumbled into a couple really insane bits that went on, but it did not feel like she had a single ounce of control over what was happening. But I do agree, Tori, with what you're saying insofar as like 3 or 4 years down the line, I think this would be absolutely good to go. I think this was an incredible workshop. This was like an incredible moment where you're like, oh, I actually do have something on my hands here. But I feel any humor from this was completely accidental.
Oh yeah. This was that if she had been in front of RuPaul with this, RuPaul would have been dead on the floor. Like, this is the level of crazy that she loves.
RuPaul's colostomy bag would have been overflowing.
Although I think she would have been upset that she wasn't doing chairwoman Mao.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think she would have been like, that's a crazy choice that's going to get us canceled in 5 countries. Do it.
Well, to be fair, almost 10 years ago, we had Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un's sister. Like,
which at the time, you could tell RuPaul did not like.
RuPaul didn't know how to react. That's just I think he was safe.
Yeah.
Though I guess the only other person I think Jennifer Tilly is a fine choice for Snatch Game.
She's a fine choice for the role.
I think she has a wealth of material to kind of go into. I think Helena got in her head because she was interacting. She was trying to like throw things out. And I think sometimes if you don't specifically know what to say, you kind of just say like a couple things. Like I think a couple of them, when trying to interact, were just trying to fill dead air. And
panic joking.
Yeah.
The other problem is I feel like I would have lived for some Bound jokes. I would have lived for some Bride of Chucky jokes. But I think Helena is just old enough to be aware of those things, but not old enough to have been ensconced in them in such a way that she would go for those jokes.
It's the high school students that I taught that thought that Nirvana was a fashion label that had a happy brand on it.
Yeah. The fact that there was not a single Bound joke, there's not a single fucking Gina Gershon joke. There
wasn't even sort of like the base level of the fact that she's an Oscar nominated actress who can't get respect for anything she fucking does. Like, the lack of understanding that she's somebody that Woody Allen has sexualized, the lack of understanding that she is not just dark haired Juliette Lewis, like the levels of humor.
Juliette Lewis also has dark hair.
Juliette Lewis likes to dye her hair this grungy, shitty blonde.
She did.
Ooh, someone should do Juliette Lewis for Snatch Game and then only do Yellow Jackets.
I love that.
She played Jennifer Love Hewitt's mom in House Arrest.
She did. Yes, thank you. Another.
Doesn't she also live off of Simpsons money?
No,
Family Guy money.
Family Guy money.
We plan on starting.
Jennifer Tilly was a voice on King of the Hill, though. I think she wasn't Bobby. I'm not mistaking that, but I think she was the grandfather's wife or something. I think she was a voice there.
I mean that she was married to one of the Simpsons creators and divorced him.
No, she voices neighbor Joe's wife Bonnie on Family Guy.
Well, I just want to remind everybody.
Yes, thank you. I knew it was something.
Yes, she was married to Sam Simon.
She was married to Sam Simon.
Yeah. I saw some video of her recently.
Would definitely be Gwen Stefani, who only became famous because Eric quit to become a Simpsons animator.
And here's the thing. We just came up with this weird rabbit hole for Jennifer Tilly. Mm-hmm. And I was even going to bring up, we joke about your Gwen Stefani being one note, but you have stuff like, my brother Eric quit to work for the Simpsons. Like,
I guess that makes me like Lisa Simpson. Somebody hand me a saxophone, spiderweb.
You would have stuff to say for Gwen Stefani. You'd have your one-note jokes, but you would also have actual deep-cut facts. You'd have weird stuff, and it feels like people both don't know enough about their person and then don't have enough prepared on top of that to supplant not knowing enough about their person.
It makes me so tired paying so much alimony to Gavin Rossdale. Ooh.
Want to watch you play my Switch?
Ooh, boop, 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 Zuma ball.
I'm Nintendo's rep now.
Because her child is named Zuma because during her pregnancy she played so much
She
Zuma
played a lot of
ball.
Zuma.
So her child is named Zuma. Like, yeah.
Celebrities are weird.
Celebrities are great. No doubt.
No doubt. And I have no doubts. I love this runway prompt. I thought everybody, for the most part, let's say for the most part, everyone looked great. Nobody looked
Everybody
bad.
looked great,
Oh my god, it
yeah.
was like the opposite of their reading challenge.
Actually,
Yeah.
I have to call her out for a second time tonight, and I was shocked that she got such positive critiques.
Who?
Virgo, despite the ghost heel, looked horrible.
It-
And like it was fine. She's so great. I love her so much. I would have been perfectly fine with a Virgo. This isn't your best look, but like you put so much into it, and I love what you do. I love that you always come with a
Listen,
full concept.
I like every Chad White video, even when they're the same boring thing. I think that's what happened here.
We're running out of Chad White references for the week.
Yeah, you. Well, it's Sunday, so you get to re-up, but just there.
Oh, roll
Uh,
Week start on Monday. That's not true.
My Xtube credits reset Sundays. Taken the note.
I really thought this was the worst look of the night, and I really was shocked that nobody said anything. And it sometimes does feel to me like it's that thing. Once you become a favorite on Drag Race, you do sort of shift away from ever getting negative
Oh yeah,
critique.
this poor girl choosing to wear those heels.
Those ghost
on
heels
this
are
night.
rough.
Yeah, I mean, I give her so
Oh,
much.
God.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
She also could barely walk in them. Like I was
Yeah.
watching her hobble down, and I was like, "She's
Yeah.
gonna fall. We're
I
gonna watch
give
her
her-
fall."
I give her so much credit, and there's positive stuff to
lip-syncing.
say, but yeah, it was a really ugly look. I thought everybody else looked fantastic, and most especially Helena.
TK,
Say
what John Hickman, Jed McKay character do I think Uma looks like in the
Ex
runway?
Nihilo.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It has been
Oh yeah.
it has been eating at the insides of my brain for
Yeah.
like a hot minute. Uma looks like a number of honestly, as the resident, I mean, there are
Alien
literally
head?
purple alien figures up here. I don't actually get how Xana's costume is the xenomorph any more than I get how it's the aliens from Independence Day, any more than I get how it's the Brood from X-Men. It's just a big freaky alien head with a tail. Like,
which is cool. I mean,
it's
but
really-
we didn't need to
I
get
mean,
specific.
I will
It's-
say, as someone who still hasn't watched any Alien movies or interacted with it beyond listening to husbands talking more or less about it.
oh, what a cool
I-
podcast.
Yeah, I know, right? As she walked out of this, I went, "Oh, Alien."
Yes.
I don't
I
like
go
T-Rex.
I
arms.
go oh alien.
Mhm.
But is it like
But is it fashion?
great alien?
I
or is it fashion?
Sure.
It is
I was
neither to
hoping
me.
for the head to like lift up like it does in Lion King. I was hoping for the tail to be a little more prehensile, but this is
Listen.
Canada and not All Stars. They don't have that kind of money.
Julie Taymor's Broadway queen would be my because Julie Taymor did Lion King, right? I'm not having yeah.
Yep.
Julie Taymor did and then but who please am I losing my mind? Julie Taymor did producers too?
I don't think so.
Oh,
That was
no.
I think that was Mel. I think Mel Brooks showed up again for that one.
Did he really direct it?
I think so.
God
We'll
bless.
check.
We'll double check
going.
after this. We have a ton of stuff to talk. We have work, mama. But I think one of the reasons that I love devolving into Broadway for Canada is actually I think Canada really does amp up the theatricality in a way that maybe the UK dignifies, and I mean that with grand love. There's this weird alternating energy on UK that's either like panto shit clown or
Mm.
like grande dame of the greatest runway stage ever, and like they love to laugh, they love to make you feel fun and have joy, but they want to show you the greatest show you've ever seen.
Mhm.
I feel like Down Under has this exceptional need to create powerful, moving tributary art while also reminding you that these are the realest people you've ever met. It is, Uncle Vanya at your local bar. It's like a really weird comparison of ideas. One of the things that Canada seeks to do, for my sense of understanding, is the brightest neon presentation of everything they can. TK, you brought something to my mind a month ago at this point, that music in America hasn't really changed in 20 years. We've all really been stuck on that 2004 sound for 20 years. Like, notably, when people say that the 90s came to Canada 10 years later and they got stuck on the 90s, it's actually just that music held on. One of the things that people don't talk about enough is New Jack Swing, a very specific style of 90s music, is what is predominant in Japan in some ways, although Japan starts everything on the 4th, not the 1st, and that's its own beautiful conversation. So I think what I'm trying to say is that I think Canada's unique presentation of drag is so Broadway theatrical that it asks us to think about the ways in which the back row needs to see the show the same way the front row does. So the makeup is all impressionist, never direct. And there's something about both this episode's reading challenge, runway, and more that asks me to think a little bit about what Canada wants me to talk about when I'm talking about this show. This was the worst reading challenge I can remember in a really long time. This genuinely felt like
a winner.
Well, because I guess technically nobody can all. What is this, AVP? We can't all lose.
Down Under season 3 had no winner of Snatch Game, and that very handsome gentleman in the pit crew split the teams up.
Oh, so Minnie Wang should have won.
No, Minnie's jokes weren't that good.
Yeah, this was a bad reading challenge. I feel
Minnie's
like
was a PSA.
I really think it's a not great idea to pair the library challenge with the
Snatch Game.
Yeah, because for one thing, the writing's kind of on the wall when they're bad. And it feels a little bit like, hey guys, you're in for a really terrible episode when the reading challenge is off the rails. I wish they would do these two completely separately.
Yeah, I feel like we've gotten into this rhythm now where it's reading challenge, Snatch Game, Night of 1,000, and that's what the episode is always going to be. And I feel like that's very specific in this world. In a way that nothing else really does that anymore, where we line everything up, even challenge to runway, etc., unless it's specifically a design challenge. I don't know. I thought these girls would be funnier or meaner something.
I think we all did. We all did. Apparently we got a PSA over. Yeah, stop smoking.
KEVO,
So good for you.
KEVO, please zoom in on Xana's tattoo. Zoom in real tight.
What are we?
What about
Are we looking at the fact that
figure out why 2 of Xana's tattoos are covered?
Also, Helena's tattoos are covered. Perla has tattoos covered here, but here figured out these are lyrics to a song on Perla's hand, so she has certain words cut out. I didn't realize you had to blur or crop out your tattoos.
Apparently, Xana's are pretty offensive.
Yeah,
Oh.
they're either it's either offensive or it's a real person and you don't have the rights to their likeness.
Yeah, I think actually this one might be a real person, and the one on her other arm is in bad taste.
Oh my. Here we are.
Maybe she just has a kink for ripping the tape off at the end of every day.
She's a tattoo piggy.
Well,
because literally just wear a sleeve, girl. Just put on a sleeve on.
Looks like a
it's Betty Page.
Sleeve or like maybe. I think Perla's been Sharpieing for a while. I think that's what's been going on. But when it's like that large, what are you gonna do? Sit there and just like slather it on with a king size Sharpie?
Yeah.
Or just never show your arms.
Yeah. But then, like, oh my gosh, how can you be objectified in the workroom and prove you're the trade?
You could
Ding, ding, ding.
Little shoulder. You just need an arm cover. You don't need
A
anything
little
to the
cold shoulder. Ooh.
Ooh, get one of those
sleeves.
sleeves. They have those, like a little tan sleeve.
Or get yourself a giant oversized fleece from Costco, who big shout out to Costco, who was like, We
Sounds
heard
fun.
Costco was like, oh, so people are asking us about whether we're going to back down our DEI hiring practices. And we think that's a really stupid question. We are so proud of our hiring because it means that nobody ever has to wait for an answer. It means we have tons of cultural experience on our floor every single day. It means we have high customer satisfaction. You can have a great day with that stupid question. Bye now. You can make sure to get a chicken bake on the way out the door.
Also,
And-
enjoy how we're breaking all of our Teamster unions real quick.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the
Well,
other half. But it's okay. They're at least nice to their own people.
Well, I was really happy about the DEI hires in a world of bad DEI choices.
The outside of a pretty good performance by Helena this week for not Snatch Game. Though I just don't think she was bad. I thought she was safe. The reading challenge. I think the actual singular funniest thing was calling Michaela a nepo baby.
Oh, yeah.
That was solid.
Unfortunately, very funny. Might stick. But someone commented, and I love this person for saying after they just filmed Rapping Snatch Game, Brooke went like running through the halls, cancel the roast, have them make it out for something. We're not doing anything funny anymore. Because no, it was not okay. We mentioned season 14 before. I still am of the conspiracy mindset that season 14 was edited and Rue was doing that because they wanted the gag of the Lollapalooza.
Yeah, I agree.
It was
with
not
that.
organic because I don't think season 14 is actually that bad. It's not the best. But you have Deja doing great as Lil Jon, and then you have other like
your mom's favorite drag queen, Deja?
My mom's favorite drag queen, Deja Sky. Hi Deja, if you happen to see this, my mother loves you.
Hey mama, we love you.
We love you too. But my mother really loved your performance. But like Bosco, Lady Camden, even to a degree, I don't think Diabetti did that bad.
I don't think Willow Pills was terrible. Terrible.
Well, I think Willow. I have to believe Willow was funnier and it was edited around. But I believe Camden again was funnier and it was edited around. Bosco, I think, was probably bad. Unequivocally, Dia was bad, and I do not believe that was edited. I will never forgive her only because Ozzy, oi, oi, oi is something that you say in Australia. Ozzy Osbourne does not say that. It is not a thing. And to not even have that level of not knowing what Ozzy Osbourne says, I would have resigned from the show.
There was no like biting a head off a thing.
Yeah, nobody went off the rails on a crazy Snatch Game, or did they?
There was no joke about Sharon.
Unforgivable. That was
no devil worshipping.
Well, for sure, that is good.
Also, Kelly, what a wonderful little goblin, and what a fun little nightmare, Jack.
He's not like in the media, is he?
No, he's just like
Not
actually
anymore.
like a media person. He
got a degenerative disease of some kind and kicked out.
He was in an episode of Dawson's Creek.
He was in an episode of Dawson's Creek.
That's special, Jack.
People growing up used to be, because I used to be a little bit thicker in different ways. Growing up, people used to be like,
"Oh no,
hey, you look like Jack Osborne, and you look like the kid from The Sopranos." So like,
gosh, every chubby boy just got the same. I got those exact same too.
And like, I grew up in Jersey, so people would just come up to me and be like, "Hey, Sopranos boy," and I'd be like Greek. So it was real easy.
It's okay. He's not Italian either.
Not Italian either. No, it's a shame because rainbow cookies are everything. So I want to wrap this bad boy. Oh, yes. Thank you, Andrew. I want to wrap this bad boy up in all the best ways. I want to say that the thing that I loved the most about this episode is it reminded me that even bad episodes can teach me to grow with the franchise. I don't think that this was actually like, no girl failed me. Like, no girl was like, well, eliminate for this. But a lot of girls were trapped by the machine that Drag Race has become, which is occasionally an ugly cycle. It's a hamster wheel that doesn't let you go. And it's an boring of chasing your own tail. But what I really want to know, mamas and papas, all of my absolutely fantastic divas on this stage, what motherfucker do you think walks off and quits?
Oh, I believe I know who it is, but do you want to pontificate first before I reveal who?
Well,
I
we're not gonna. We're
Well,
not
we
gonna.
don't- I don't
we're not
wanna
gonna
hear it.
reveal any. Yeah.
Okay, then I won't say and I won't react.
So you
Jonah,
can't even.
Jonah can't play.
Yeah.
You
Jonah,
can't even play.
let's scoot a little further.
You're DQ'd.
So-
Yeah.
I think it might be Xana Personamenci, just because she seems like she's ready to punch a bitch in the neck. How about you, Kevo?
I am still taking odds on whether or not I think it is actually even going to fully happen, or if it is a psych out. I think that is a pretty solid bet, though. It depends on whether or not it actually happens and what causes it. Because if it is an in the moment thing, I could think it. I could see it even being someone like Minnie.
I know that we saw a blonde wig walking out, a bright blonde wig. That does not feel like a Michaela or a Virgo queen, so that knocks them out. It seemed like a tall human. That takes out Perla, so we are only left with so many souls. And I think it's either Xana. I think it's probably Xana. I don't think we've seen Helena Poison be that about things, but I don't know.
But it
I
could
think it's-
happen.
I think it's Michaela only because, as it was said this week, Michaela loves theme parks. She goes on an emotional roller coaster twice a day.
Yeah, like my
Um,
bet would be Michaela, but
I know
don't think
your
she'd wear
reasons
that
for
wig.
why it isn't the wig. 100%. Like the wig doesn't feel super Michaela, but I don't know what the prompt is. At
Your
the
Cam
time.
Jansen on that was absolutely Encyclopedia Brown.
Michaela just seems to have increasingly shown that mindset of getting very reactionary to minor things. And so if a major thing were to come up, she's the one that feels like she would leave. But I don't know.
Major Wang.
I also don't know how they're gonna because I know we're heading into Project Runway Challenge, which I'm excited for as someone who does not do Project Runway. So I'm excited to see how the girls handle, making Brooke beautiful, and what does that mean for the runway? Like, are they also gonna do a runway and then it's just Brooke like modeling on her own for an hour one day? Like, I don't know. I'm excited to see.
But we're also gonna get Suki Doll, who we love, talented, amazing seamstress who makes looks for pretty much everybody on the show, even makes looks for Brooke.
Suki now.
Yeah.
Suki, I stand by it. Anyway, life's tough. I'm not funny, I guess, but what
No,
I
I'm
am
doing outro stuff.
what I am is great at Snatch Game. So I don't have to be funny in real life. I can just be funny in Snatch Game, because it turns out people who are very funny in real life did not have a great Snatch Game. The reads were so bad that I sent them copies of Muzzy and Hooked on Phonics. The runways were so out of this world. Yeah, truly. Où est le grand fromage? I don't know. I give this episode a lower grade for quality of art as it was presented by the production, but I do give all of these girls the same big heart score that I always give them. They all did their best, and it wasn't for their lack of trying, even when it does not hit my needs. But I would love to get everybody's final thoughts. Tori, I'm going to start with you. What were your final thoughts? Where can everybody find you? And cool.
You can find me online at SM Tori. That's Tori with an I. Final thoughts. I'm excited that we got Snatch Game in the clear. I wish it was better. I'm excited to see who maybe quits or what drama happens next week, and to see how it stacks up against a premiere of the flagship show.
Jonah, I love that. And I love being reminded that we have a flagship premiere. Tori, thank you so much for reminding us. It's something we talk about a lot backstage, that with a new season premiering, it kind of changes everything we do. And of course, our first real episode live was the premiere of 15 up at the amazing TK's home. Had a great time there. So cannot wait to talk more about all of this. But Jonah, what were your closing thoughts, and where can everybody find you?
I shouldn't be as disappointed, because not in a bad way. not everybody's judge has to be comedy, and a lot of these girls don't feel like comedy is their main gig. So in that regard, I think everybody did the best that they could with the situation that they were given, and I wish it would have went better. But that's also, you know, what is expectations, but blah 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 blah, whatever. Who cares?
As Jennifer Love Hewitt once said, "I should have trusted your love was so 2020 hindsight."
And I'm feeling 21, I guess, because that's how old
You're so
Alpha
good to
is.
me. Thank you.
I'm feeling 22.
I don't know about you.
I'm feeling
but
it.
You can follow me places at Peak Jonah.
You are a blessing for getting through that outro. You know, Kevo, I think one of the things that's so wild is when we're talking about Drag Race, you've absorbed as much as me in the same amount of time, and our opinions are as different as are our taste in favorite lip syncs. Just because, you know, we go for different kinds of things. And so I would love to know your closing thoughts and where everybody can find you producing to the mostin'. That didn't rhyme. I have to go.
My closing thoughts are, I'm excited for the premiere this week. So definitely check out our coverage of the reveal and watch along with us when we cover it next week. You know, this was super disappointing. I had said to you, I almost made the cover for this episode, Is Snatch Game Dead? And we ultimately decided to save that to see what happens with season 17, because I think it's really going to depend on how the main show's drag Snatch Game does this season. Because, it's been a lot of disappointment, and I think it is something that is such a huge part of the program and so important, and we kind of need to be taking it as seriously as it deserves, or just, move on to something new. But in the meantime, you can check out, as you can see below, there's a playlist of our Drag Race coverage over on our channel. You can check that out, and you can find me over on the socials at KEVO Really. That's KEVO REALLY.
Love it. Oh, TK, obviously you're where we're going next, and can't wait. So tell me, number one, what were your thoughts about these girls staying great, true, North, white, strong face, United Airlines? I don't remember, but she says a bunch of stuff.
United Airlines is definitely the most important one.
And where can we find you?
I think you might be right. Snatch Game might be done. It might be broke. And Kevo, you pointed out that the options are like, we get this back on track or we just end it. And I would like to see that. And I don't mean like, let's try and fix this over the course of 20 seasons. I mean, like, get it back together next season or just don't do it anymore. Being the old man that I am, I'm realizing that like my first instinct is to be like, no, do Snatch Game. Every drag queen should be able to do some celebrity impressions. Like, why would you not do that? And Jonah's the one who keeps pointing out, like, a lot of girls don't do that. That's not their drag. And like, I hate when boomers talk about all the shit that millennials should do that we just don't need to do. You know, the stupid jokes about like, oh, like millennials, it's actually Gen Z because millennials can write checks, but whatever, young people can't write checks. Yeah, like cursive and checks don't fucking matter. And no, you don't need to learn those things to get through in the world. And I learned how to do them, but like, that's why I think I'm kind of the perfect in-between generation for that. Cause like I learned how to do both, but I don't give a shit if somebody knows how to do, and I'm not unimpressed if a brilliant, 25-year-old can't write a check, but it like did better than me on their SATs or whatever. Like, that's still a really brilliant person. And it's the same thing. Like, maybe Snatch Game is just kind of outdated, and I just want to see it because I grew up seeing drag queens do, including RuPaul, do celebrity impressions, and I think that's really funny, and I think that's like part of drag. And I'm always torn between like, it's a culture, so there are traditions, so we should make sure that those traditions are honored. And I do think it is kind of on the part of the elders to do that work without forcing it on the new young people who do get to decide what they do and don't want to do. But then that brings us to the ultimate question. The show is produced by elders. So
And
either
in the image of one of the elders.
and in the image of one of the elders, but you're hiring the youngers, and the youngers don't often want to do this. So you either need to make it a safe space for, you need to require it, but say like, this is how we're going to help you develop and do something good, or just cut it the fuck out and do another show where you hire drag queens over 39 to come in and do impressions, because that's what they all learned how to do. If you want to, just workshop ideas like this with me, you find me at TK Elemental, and I will talk this through with you.
Love it. And if you want to find more about me, you guys can check me out at NICO Action, NICOACTION. You want to check out the music, that's NICO Action Music, NICOACTIONMUSIC. If you want to check out more about this show, 3 places: X is for podcast, X is for show, and HTML, husbands talking more or less. Thanks for the pimp out, Tori. And then 3 things you guys can do for us: like, comment, and subscribe. Man, we love that algorithm. But 3 things you guys can do for yourselves. Number 1, stay safe. It's crazy, spooky world out there. But number 2, be brave, because we love you. We love who you are and what you bring to the table. And speaking of who you are and what you bring to the table, we want to see you guys evolve like Snatch Game, but hopefully not to death. Who you were yesterday, amazing. Who you are today, we love it. But who you are tomorrow, obviously, that's the dream. And we cannot wait to see you there. So until next time, stay what? True North, strong,
United
And
Airlines.
Beaver.
United Airlines.
and United. Yeah. And
We
until
did
then,
it.
we'll see you, Major Wang.